Welcome back to the Social Seller Podcast with Conor Paulsen, where we interview the world's highest quality communicators, professionals, business owners, creatives, and everything in between. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're a high quality communicator, there's a good chance you're living a lot happier life, but you're also bringing those opportunities into your life almost like a magnet. My guarantee is that on this show, we only interview people that I, one, look up to, and two, that I know are going to continue to kill the game for years to come, and I want to make sure they're on your radar. But what I've learned is by asking the best questions, we get the best responses, and that's what the highest quality communicators, our social sellers, are all about. Let's hop inside to the Social Seller Podcast. Welcome back to the Social Seller Podcast with Conor Paulsen. Today we have a special guest. We are
and it's because I would make the assumption for Uptown too that like you and I serve as this top of, it's the reason I'm on this right now, right? Like top of funnel networking, brand building. People see us as the face of our companies. And so a lot of people that come through these channels, whether it's my Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, have a predisposed expectation that if they sign up to work with one of our portfolio companies, that like I'm going to be the one doing the work, right? And like I'm not. Like I have not touched Facebook ads in years, right?
Congrats.
Like,
that's a good thing.
Thank you, right?
Yeah,
like I haven't
seriously.
had to do it. We have the team. You're going to talk to JL, right? Like am I present? Specifically for the clients that I want to be, yeah. But if not, like, sorry. And that's where they start to, and even partners that we come in when we acquire companies and you know, we'll buy in at 25, 50% with, you know, some expectation of what we'll deliver. I'm the one that closes those deals.
Yeah.
But the moment that paperwork is signed, they're not getting texts from me anymore. Right? Like they're like, wait, like I thought Sam was my boy, and I am your boy, but I also run 18 other businesses in the portfolio right now. I can't sit there while you're trying to mess around with your CMS on Webflow. Like that doesn't make sense. Like if you need me to do what I'm going to do for your business, I can't be in the weeds. I can't be your friend in business. I need to be the guy that's leading X, Y, or Z. And that's, I mean, it's been an issue in the last, I'd say 4 or 5 acquisitions that we've made, is that partners will come in with this expectation that like I'm gonna run X, Y, or Z for them, and I'm like, sorry, like I don't do that anymore. Like I'm not gonna build your website for you, even though I build phenomenal websites and I like it. Like I'm not gonna do that. Like you can go pay our contractors to handle that work. And so yeah, it's weird for me because I don't like.
I can tell just in some body language.
Like,
I feel the same in different ways.
It makes me antsy where I like it's hard because I really do love and appreciate everyone in our portfolio. They are amazing people that I wish I had the time to sit on the phone with for 2 hours and ideate, talk, right, make recommendations, all of that. And that's like it's a separation of how I identify with myself from 3 years ago. 3 years ago, dude, I was working 18-hour days. Like I was telling you before the thing, like you should have seen a screenshot of my calendar from 3 years ago versus now. And back then I was on the phone with everybody all the time, everything that I was doing, numerous meetings a week. And it was not healthy. It was like not good for relationships, for any of that. And I need to step back and helping people understand why I need to step back, and that there's existing infrastructure that I've built over the last 2 years that allows for me to step back and still for them to get the value. It's been even in the last 3 months, it's like pretty fresh. We just restructured so much. It's like, it's trying to put better boundaries in place, so that everyone's on the same page and can be effective and no one's feelings are hurt if I don't answer a text for 4 days because like I'm flying to San Francisco for a meeting. Right? Like, yeah. Just trying to make sure that everyone gets it versus like, Sam's my boy and I work with him, right? Like that is not the dynamic anymore. It is, but not, it's like Sam runs Proven. He built an infrastructure that I, as a founder of a Proven portfolio company, get access to. Sam is not my direct line. I like don't give out my phone number to people anymore because it's just, I'll wake up to like 800 texts. In like 8 group chats, and I'm like, I don't care. Not that I don't care. I don't need to be there.
Well, it's going to slow everything that you've
Right.
done to get to this
Right.
point down. And
Yep.
you're going to hurt a lot more. You're going to impact negatively a lot more lives, right?
Yeah, and I think the cool part is people have started to see that in action. Is like, even in the last week, I kind of was like, hey, everybody, like, don't bother me. And I built 2 new companies from scratch. And I think that helped people understand where I need to be focused, right? Like, if I can actually build or actually partner or actually do what I need to do for the entire ecosystem, it benefits everyone a lot more. And I think it's made people more understanding, because I openly shared that. I was like, hey, I'm not going to answer your text. I'm sorry, but like, I just need a week. And then everyone came at the end of the week and was like, oh, yeah, I can't be bothering Sam with X, Y, or Z, because like that stops him from doing what he just did.
Yeah.
Right. And I think just, it's like radical transparency within the company, right? Trying to be vulnerable with everyone. And I tell people, I say, hey, like, I'm sorry that I'm not answering your text. Like, I'm currently struggling with how to communicate with you. And I get on the calls with the founders and I say, hey, like, how is this transition? Because we just brought in a COO, right? And I was like, how's this transition been? How do you feel about me not being active, right? Like, is it slowing you down? Is it making you experience any emotions, right? Like, just trying to get a real finger on the pulse of it. And at first, everyone was apprehensive. Everyone was a little like, you mean you're not going to answer my text anymore? I was like, I will if you like ask me about life, or like if you want to talk as friends. But like, if you have a Facebook ads question, you know who to talk to. You don't have to ask me, right? And I think having that infrastructure makes all of it run a lot smoother, right? Like,
there should be point of contacts.
Right. Of
right?
like,
and,
dude,
and
if you
we need to, it's our job to
Right.
like set that earlier rather than later. That's what
Yeah,
I've learned
and that's
personally,
the
is set it
big
right off the
piece.
bat. Because they'll also respect you more from the confidence in knowing what your parameters
Right.
are in life. Like, hey, I know we can do this. And even if it's in a sales call and they might go, what was something last week? So we're ready to move forward. All of that's good. And then like out of right field comes this question about, are you handling our content creation and posting? We're like, what the hell? The conversation's never gone here.
Right.
We haven't done this in 7 years. And being able to just kindly communicate, right? And the thing is I had to get away from thinking that me communicating effectively made them feel bad. No,
Right.
it's the sense and the emotion in my body language when I tell them.
Right.
And all I have to do is explain the why and the because,
Yeah.
right? Like Cialdini talks about, make sure we put that word
You
because
have
in,
to.
because
You
it
have
does
to.
something in our own minds that's
Yeah.
like, that's why. It doesn't really matter what comes after because
Yeah.
most of the time, right? They did that study with like the
It was,
copy printer.
it was like cutting people in line
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah.
it was, and they were like, "Yeah, because my dog is sick," and people were like, "Yeah, cool, like whatever," right? Like, and it had nothing to do with standing in line, but just the word because. Literally, people were like, "Yeah, you can cut me, it's cool."
Right? Little things like that. And it's not doing it as a psychology trick. It's doing it to communicate more effectively. That's
Right.
what social selling's all about, right?
Because it removes assumption, right? Like, if you meaningfully communicate the reasoning behind what you're saying, all it does is create alignment. And that's really what sales is, right? And at least I would say on probably all levels of sales, but after transitioning out of like lead gen to call booking, I'd call it more of like a hard close, right? Like an actual salesperson on the phone versus where I've transitioned to, which is more conversations, which then everyone shares the variables. Is there an opportunity here? What does that look like? I'd say actually on both, alignment is the key. And the only way you can get alignment is if there's full transparency of why somebody's doing it, which is where the word because comes in. It's like, why does this make sense for you? Because blank, blank, and blank. And you can find those synergies, which is the biggest buzzword of the world, but like alignment
Parallels,
way faster.
Right.
And have them be more effective because everyone has the right context for what alignment means and why.
And that's a lot of what the communication just comes back to is the baseline. I'm going to simplify it is we both want this partnership to work. We want to win. We want to grow. We want to save time, right? We want to impact and better more lives. And it's just getting back to that page. It might not look how you thought you were hiring Sam 3 years ago and having him involved in every call.
Right.
It's going to look different, but you're going to enjoy it more because there's systems in place. We're going to treat you a lot more professionally, and you're going to feel it right from the beginning. And I cannot wait for you to meet a rockstar team. I know I'm here, and I might be the face. It feels like at time to time, but honestly, the value is all behind the scenes, and you're about to meet them.
Yeah.
Right. That's a completely different way.
Is like advocating for those. I don't like using the word like beneath me, right? But those in the ecosystem. Do I know that I could answer Facebook ad questions? Yeah. Do I say I'm going to introduce you to the absolute best Facebook ads guy you can talk to? Yeah. Like, I want to keep giving them the power because they've earned it. Like, we have really good people on our team. And if I put myself in the position where I'm always the guy, it actually puts a shadow over what they're capable of. And just even that switch. And I think earlier stage entrepreneurship, everyone is, I'd say, a little bit more protective.
It's scarcity mindset, right?
Yeah, you're kind of like, dude, I don't want to introduce you to blank because, like, what if you like win?
Take that relationship
what would happen, right? Yeah. And it's like a little bit more fear, which just comes with that first 6, 12, 18 months of entrepreneurship. Is like it's scary. But yeah, the moment you flip that, it's scarcity versus abundance, right? Like, I make introductions to people that I have absolutely zero positive impact in my life from making that introduction. It's just good for them to meet. No expectation from me. But it just all comes back around. We're like, bet, I make that one introduction, and like I trust that like universe, higher power, whoever it is, could be the doorknob if that's what you want to call it, will take care of it.
I love it. Exactly. Whatever higher power, and just leaving it up to that, right? Yeah. Whether you're religious, I believe in all the gods. I believe in the universe too. I think they're all together, right? But just having that faith, because what it comes down to is I think you start to have more confidence in yourself. Like, I'm going to do what's in my control. Right. From the conversation earlier, we can't control a lot of things. So why would we attach an emotion to things in the future we can't control or in the past? Right. Now, easier said than done. What I love here, Sam, is you are an incredible person at introducing others and making connections. I love that you say, you know, it doesn't necessarily have like you don't have to by any means, right? Yeah. But you kind of know because you've done it enough in life that it seems like for whatever reason, it always comes back. Right. And I have to agree. What do you think when you're going to connect to people? And I want to actually hear, like, what's your best method of connecting people? Is it on Twitter and a DM? And what does that message actually look like? Because you are so effective at it. Yeah. But you're also providing so much value to your circles and all the ecosystems you're a part of because you're introducing new eyes. Yeah. Right.
The tangibles of how that introduction happens, I don't have a go-to. Essentially, the goal is to reach both parties on a platform that they both are active on, right? If 2 people are on Instagram, awesome. I'll introduce you guys on Instagram. That's where you guys are. If I introduced you on Twitter to somebody, but you're not on Twitter, then the connection is wasted and it just falls through the cracks. Happens. Obviously, the more personal, I'm not a big email guy. Just like I grew up on Instagram and text and all of that. So I'm much more, if I can and that everyone's okay with it, text is the default, but wherever someone can be reached comfortably and effectively. Intro messages, like again, more tangible. Like, I just try to keep it a little upbeat.
Absolutely.
And I don't try to control the context of it. You know, a little background, right? Of saying, hey, you know, this is Conor. He runs a dope agency, and I try to talk more about the person than like the business, right? Like, I'll be like, dude, Conor's like an awesome dude. He runs a dope lead gen business. Right? Like I did with Nick, right? Like with you and Nick. Like, Nick is also just an absolute killer, dope guy, worth connecting with in the lead gen space. Like, leave it up to y'all. Like, it's cool. It's like, it's not saying you guys should talk because you should partner on X, Y, and Z because I think blah, blah, blah. Like, fuck me. Like, you guys figure it out. You both are capable individuals. Here's why. You guys will vibe. And there you go. Like, then I kind of just need to be removed from it. Like, you guys talk. If you have questions or want me involved in a conversation, cool. Just like connecting people as people, right? That have
I love it.
Mutual interests in the business world, at least. But I do it. I mean, you see it more in the business world where I'll introduce you to people. But like, I do the same thing with friends. Yeah. I'd be like, dude, you should totally talk to X, Y, or Z just to chill, like just to meet somebody.
The ambiguity is a lot of times what I've found is what works. I'm not trying to oversell. Like the second you oversell, that's
right. Like, I'm not trying to close. I'm not going to close X person on your services because I think it's like, hey, this is something we just talked about. Here's the best person that I can think of for you to talk to about this. Y'all take care of it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Both y'all are going to be happy with me. Like, hopefully y'all are both happy with each other, and I'm good.
Love it. And for me, I also have found in my personal experience, email introductions usually aren't as quick as I love that you say that, because you see this in the marketing realm, but a lot of the world, I feel like doesn't maybe think it's professional, because when I first started freshman, sophomore year, I probably wouldn't have texted someone. And I will loop them both in on Instagram. Usually it's a WhatsApp. I want something with a voice, right? I like to add the audio because it makes it a lot easier for me.
That's the one piece that if Jack is listening, please add audio DMs to Twitter. Oh my goodness, they don't have them yet. Hurts.
They have to come. They're doing the audio rooms, which makes sense.
Did,
they should be close.
Yeah, they released the audio DMs in India, and so I don't know what's good with that. If it's a test, if whatever, but it would make my life. I got 300. I did a crazy. You're talking about taking action. I had an idea Saturday afternoon, built the entire business in 24 hours. Literally live tweeted the entire thing on Twitter. Like 2,000 likes. It blew up a little bit, and I got like 300 DMs. And if I could just like audio message them all back, I could have got through most of them. I got like 50 of them, and I was like, oh my god, dude, my thumbs are cramping. Like it's a lot of typing. But it does make it way more personal, and that's like back in the IG days. I don't think I ever typed a message on IG. It was all audio.
And the little trick that I've learned is I'm going to put something before the audio message, right? Because now you're seeing a number you don't even know. Yeah. So it'll be Happy Monday, right? Because I want it to be timely, and you better open it today. Right. But then it's just going to be, been meaning to connect two very influential people in my life. Can't wait for you to take it away. And then I'll send a quick audio message. Yo, Sam, hey, I want you to meet Oscar. Oscar is this world-renowned videographer, works with top professional athletes, bodybuilders in the supercar space. Sam, I have known this guy for 6, maybe even 7 years. This guy is an absolute killer. He works with high-quality individuals, has a filter based on values, and takes real action, right? That's obviously a little bit of overselling, but I'm going to explain that, and then it's open-ended, right? And I'm not saying why they should. I'm not going to say I think it could be a client opportunity. I think you guys could collab on an event.
That's their responsibility.
I think it might make sense for you guys to connect, and then I forget about it, right? Because then I don't want that brain wave or like thinking 100%. I'm going to have to respond to an email thread now, because emails do start to scare the shit out of me. And like you had said, I wish we would have brought on assistants and had the structure to do this a lot earlier, because our company's growing a lot faster just in the last month because I'm not spending the majority of my time doing the repetitive tasks. And I know we read about it.
I know the drill.
I thought I had already taken care of most of them. Yeah. No, there's a whole nother layer.
You can keep going. It's I would say probably 80% of the problems, quote unquote problems, that end up getting to me and my leadership team, most of them can be solved with automation or a virtual assistant. Like, they're not complicated. It's basically hitting bandwidth issues on repeatable tasks, right? Like, and that's how you know you have a business that can actually scale, is that like 80% of your business is a repeatable process, because that's how businesses work, right? And so like, it's a problem that I don't see ever going away. I think that talent has been a huge focus for us. Is like, we need more high quality people in the ecosystem, because one of our companies is literally called Grow Faster. Like, that's what we do. We grow companies super quick, and keeping up from bandwidth is actually a massive problem. But getting help with assistance, automation, all of that fun stuff makes your life so much easier.
Right.
So much easier.
If you can't automate, outsource.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then the further levels, make sure you hire quality talent.
Yeah, and get rid of anything else, right? And then you're saying, you have automate, delegate, delete. I default to delete. I go, that seems complicated. What if we just got rid of it? What would it mean? Right? Like, oh, this process is eating 40% of time. Like, what is it actually doing for us? And I think with a lot, obviously we're earlier stage companies. A lot of us, there's so much iteration. And I think that there's an attachment to the way that you've been doing things. And I'll say more often than not, we'll literally delete the entire automation infrastructure on a business that's doing $30,000 to $40,000 a month to restart, because it's different now. like automating from 0 to 10K, 10 to 25K, 25 to 50K, like each of them require different pieces. And instead of trying, it's like sunk cost fallacy. Like instead of throwing more effort to try to get the system that worked well for this stage to work for the next, I'm like, dude, rebuild it. Like, what if we just deleted everything and started from scratch? How would we build it now? And most of the time, those builds get done way faster because then they know. They go, oh, this is what I'm experiencing all the time. Here's the data that says we should be automating X, Y, and Z, not A, B, and C. And again, it's just paying attention to it all. But it works really well.
I love that. And to coattail it is, again, with more experience in entrepreneurship, you start to identify those repetitive tasks. It becomes more, it's more visible. And you start to value the growth of the whole. Maybe it's not about you and another person and starting something anymore, but now there's a team and you're feeding families and they depend on you. And it's a little different because I purposely want to think at scale, right? As business partners, if you're a partner in Uptown and a part of the leadership team, the majority of your time should be working on the business, not in it. And that goes especially true for the three partners, right? So I love that you say that, and scalability is what excites me more and why I want to rebuild it, why you want to rebuild it. It's not saying, damn, 40K a month. For a lot of people, that's like, I've never made 40K in a month, even though you might be taking home 20. Knowing that it can come back better, also because when systems are in place, it's a more professional experience for your clients too. How do you want them to come?
You want to be
what's their first introduction to the client?
Message? Like, no, you don't. Like, you want Slack set up. Many requests for anyone that's watching and that's an agency owner. Many requests is a lifesaver. It removes email, Slack, all of that. Portal for your clients, right? Like, and we just keep figuring out tools like that to say, hey, how do we streamline this for both us and the people that we're delivering the service to? And it's smooth sailing. Not as a macro, but with those types of things, like figure out what is the best solution for that micro problem. And then you just stack those on top of each other, and all of a sudden, everyone wins. Like, it's not this like one-off, oh shit, we got to do this for client A today. It's like, oh no, this is the timeline. Here's what's good. Here's how they contact us. Here's how we communicate the results. Here's like what each step of that journey really looks like. And I think, again, it just comes with scale, right?
Absolutely.
Like when you're trying to get your first 3 clients, you know, Twitter is hilarious because like there's a lot of people that are just starting agencies. It's like a huge thing this year. And the number of agencies that have like entire process databases built in Notion or Monday or any of those project management tools, Trello, and don't have any clients kills me, right? It's like understanding what your priority is when. If you're just starting, you need a landing page. That's about it. My agency didn't even have a landing page. Like for
I was gonna say you don't even necessarily need
2
it. That could be
years.
one.
Yeah, like I don't think, like we don't really use. I think on one of our agencies we have like a form for like contact to get in touch for a project. I think 2 people. Everything else has just been like putting yourself out there, talking to people, you know, getting introductions, all of that. Like you don't need systems to get to 10K. You do need systems to get to 50K. But the systems to get to 50K are very different than the systems to get to 100K. And I think it's just evolution. Is like you just have to know where it comes back to awareness. You have to know where you are and what you need to be focusing right now based on your individual journey. Right? That's it. Right? Like if you're really struggling with your email, right? We could have an agency doing the exact same service, same size, same everything. But if you're struggling with email and I'm struggling with HR, right? Like we have different problems that need to be solved, even though from the outside looking in, it looks the same. And I think a lot of people fall into, hey, I need to do it exactly like this guy did it because of X, Y, and Z. He had these results. I want to follow his model, all of that. When in reality, you have no idea what he's dealing with. And so you have to be hyper aware of your own situation, where you're at, what you need to work on, what's slowing you down, not just what slows agencies down, right? And once you're able to, again, kind of put the blinders on and look internally, the amount of leverage that you get and the amount of speed that you can create just through awareness of actually paying attention, mind-blowing.
I couldn't agree more. And I think to give anyone a little hint in that 0 to 10K range, usually that back of your mind thought should probably lean towards return on investment, ROI, right?
Yeah.
What is the shortest, quickest way to attract clients at this point? Because why do people say that? Because now if you have 10K, it's a little easier to hire an assistant. It's you have the ability to make these other things move, because then you start valuing your time. Then you start valuing what tasks am I doing each day? Because I know there's certain tasks that I can bring in a hell of a magnitude of 10 or higher if I'm focusing on these things, whether I like them or not, for the team. It's never for me, it's the collective.
Yeah,
Start to hit a sweet spot.
It's the same. And that's like when I brought in my CFO, the other Conor that you met. It's literally looking at, everything that we do. We run an investment firm. Like, ROI is literally the only thing. That's the metric. Time, money, energy, team, talent, like what are the ROIs for each of those verticals? How do they, come in to create an aggregate ROI based on all those factors? And we've been doing it to the point where he's building like proprietary metrics across the portfolio that help us understand, and I don't know if he's going to get mad at me for saying this, but whatever, the proven value, because we run proven ventures, right? Yep. The proven value of $1. Right? Or the proven value of an hour within each independent business and how it impacts that business's performance, but also what does that hour or dollar mean to that business as it relates to the rest of their portfolio. And so we're building these metrics that say, hey, like, even though we have an agency that's doing $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month after being around for 6 months, which is like a decent, healthy agency, right? Like, it's not going to be a $100 million company, but it produces good profit and distributions, right? Like, we have to compare that performance, dollars, time, talent, all of it, against 17 other businesses to understand that impact on our entire ecosystem. And so we're taking a way more active approach to understanding each of those value pieces as it pertains to ROI, like I said, both at the independent company level and for the entire portfolio.
I love that. Yeah. And in the last year, something that was a wake-up call for me was someone on the team, Erin, absolute rock star. She brought to our attention that, if we're having business partner calls, right, and whether it's weekly or bi-weekly, and those are important, right? You have to talk from a high level. That if we have, let's say, 4 partners on that hour-long call in a meeting, that's actually 4 hours taken away from the company, right? And thinking in terms of what that means and how much time and where do you value, right? And I share this simply as friends that we did not get this for a long time. And so hopefully through this conversation, like, it can make more sense why there seems to be like this path to
happened with us is we had, for a long time with the portfolio founders, we had weekly meetings with me and Nick, my COO. We had, at that point, I don't know, probably 8 to 10 companies that we were pretty active in terms of coaching, consulting with the founders, advising, all of that. And we looked at it, we're like, oh, we're dropping 20 hours of our time every single week on basically like high level conversations just across a bunch of companies. And I was like, Nick, you're going to take all those calls by yourself. And mathematically, based on how we value each person's time, right? Because you have to have a metric you're aiming for, right? Yep. My time has to be worth X amount per hour. Nick's at X, right? We save 5 figures a month in ROI value just by pulling me out of those meetings in time savings. And I think that you're spot on. If you have 4 people spending an hour, it's not an hour. Right? It's like what's the proven value of that hour spent is 0.25. The value is if one of you just spent an hour writing an email and everyone else spent 5 minutes sending their thoughts, right? And so we're looking at little loopholes like that of like, okay, maybe it makes more sense for me every month to send one really good email to each founder to set the tone for their conversations with Nick. That means I only spend 1 hour per month instead of an hour per week. Nick can shorten his meetings to 30 minutes because they have more of an agenda based on what I was talking about. And all of a sudden, we cut Nick's time in half and mine in fourths, which based on our calculations matters. right? At the scale that we're doing, I'm like, oh, this like actually moves the needle. And it meant we could bring on more companies. It means we could start new companies. It means we could like, it opens up more and more just by being like hyper diligent about ROI from a time and money perspective.
Saving time. Yep. Always some magical way it provides that ROI, whether it's saving you time
even
or
if it means accelerating losses. I do it with Facebook ads. I will accelerate losses if specifically with new businesses. If you're trying to test the market or product positioning, you'll know within like, people will say a month if it's going to work or not. And I'm like, you can know within 24 hours if you spend enough, right? But what it does is if you spend enough, at least you know, right? If you run Facebook ads at it tomorrow, at least you know if it's going to work, and you can either make the appropriate decisions to scale it and actually pay attention to it, or you can save 30 of the 31 days of the month on something else because you already proved it. And I'm willing to accelerate those losses, lose more faster for the sake of information, so that then we can move on either that project or something else that's on the back burner. Speed wins. That's how it all comes. Speed wins, and I will sacrifice time and money for speed, because I know in the macro, for what we're building in the next 10 years, speed is our advantage. A lot of other people's advantages is money, is time, and for us it's speed. And so I will sacrifice money and time for the sake of it to make sure that our thesis on how we're building the firm works.
Absolutely. Action plus speed usually equals something close to momentum.
Yeah.
And once you have it, you want to keep it.
And you just
right?
keep building on it.
And it's a fun time.
That's right.
I love that. Now, one thing that I want to make sure we capture in this interview, because I don't have many friends that have the background and the context that I look at you as a marketer.
Yep.
Someone that can create brands online, sell things.
Yep.
But then you went into this influencer space, worked with some of the largest brands that have ever partnered with an influencer, right? And now you're over here saying that, personally, I thought Twitter died a few years ago. I haven't been on it for 6 years, but I see this traction coming, and I don't know if it's just marketers or people in the blockchain space. Why the hell are people talking about Twitter and Discord, and should we even care?
There's a bigger answer there. So people like Instagram for a couple reasons, and people like Twitter for different reasons. If you're going to just pick up your phone for the sake of passing time or a dopamine rush or what I would call inspiration or motivation, Instagram is where you want to be, which is cool, but it doesn't always breed action, which is why I stopped. Twitter is much more tangible in nature. The way that I put out a tweet that actually went kind of viral talking about it is like, Instagram likes my Rolex. Twitter likes to know how I got the Rolex.
Damn, you want to say that again?
Instagram likes the Rolex. Twitter likes how I got the Rolex.
Yes.
And so I like Twitter because I like the brain part of it. I don't care about the Lambos. I don't care about like any of that. Like it's not it like once you get to the point where that is attainable, very quickly you go, that just doesn't matter, right? It's like, that's just like not, it doesn't do anything for you. Like, cool, you have a nice car. I love my Jeep. It's dope. It makes me happy. I don't need a Lambo, right? Yeah. And so I transitioned out of like chasing what all of these massive entrepreneurs that are flashing their cars, their watches, their stuff, trying to sell courses, like all of it. Into like wanting to connect with people that I knew were proven executors and would literally share how they did X, Y, and Z. And so Twitter to me, you go to learn, you go to execute, you go to connect. Like true networking, the people that I've met, there's probably 5 people on the planet that I talk to that I've met through Instagram, you being one of them. Twitter, I have another tweet. Twitter gave me Instagram gave me fans. Twitter gave me friends.
Damn.
Like there's way more people that are of a similar mind, and like they want to go, they want to do it, and they want to do it for the right reasons. Like not a lot of people on Twitter, depends on where you go on Twitter, but not a lot of them are like, oh, I'm building this so I can buy a Lambo. They're like, I'm building this so that I can then invest in real estate and short-term rentals, and then I can become a GP or an LP at, you know, a micro private equity, like it's legit. Like,
Yeah.
dude, you say the word micro PE on Instagram and people are like, dude, is that a small like physical education class from high school? Like, no, it's a private equity firm operating on a smaller scale, right? Like, no one talks about the tangibles of it on Instagram. And I'm not a big fan of,
Well, that's an
like,
environment that invites community, I feel
Yeah.
like, right? Especially for people that, again, are taking action. It's like
Right.
you have this platform where you can follow them.
100%. And as long as you're willing to be vulnerable and share, and like I said, I literally live tweeted out screenshots of my entire process of building a company from idea to launch in 24 hours. And the crazy part is it's not people just liking it. It's people giving me suggestions, people asking questions that are making me think about it's inherently more valuable because it's not about how good you look, how shredded you are, how much money you have, right? Like, that stuff doesn't matter. It's like, what value can be provided here? And it feels like it's smoke and mirrors versus like the actual stuff, right?
I don't have time to scroll through Rolexes on other people.
Dude, I've said it a bunch of times, is I've made a lot more money in the last year because I deleted Instagram and moved to Twitter.
Damn.
It's real opportunity. Everyone that I met on Instagram was like, can you get me more followers? Can you help me sell this course? Right? Like, not, yo, I'm running, you know, an AI powered first line generator and looking to scale because I want to sell it at a 7x multiple. Right? Like, that's real.
Yeah.
Like, you're just trying to cash flow a course. Like, what do you really, like, so that you can buy another Rolex, so then you can use that in a video to sell more courses? Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, and there's some course sellers that are cool, but like the ones that are like on the jet ski, buy my course, not my vibe. Like, they're not as valuable.
It's going to attract a certain type, right?
It attracts
gonna
the people
certain
that
type.
want the Rolex.
It's the rich, not the wealth,
Right.
right?
Right.
There's a lot of people chasing the rich,
Right.
Accumulating wealth is how you change the
and
family legacy, the
that's
lineage.
that's where my head's at now.
Is that what it's all for? I know we got to hop off. Is that
No,
what it's
you're
all
good.
for you? What are you working? Where does all this come together? From when we met 7 years ago to like all this shit going on, and I see the progression and the growth you have on so many levels. What's it all for?
I just want to enjoy my life, and I think that I can impact a lot of people, which feels like a catch-all answer. I just want to make sure that the people around me are able to enjoy the experience that we have here, right? If my kid wants to be a painter that doesn't make any money, that's okay. As long as he's happy, I at least want to be able to provide that opportunity, so that they can do what they want. And people within the ecosystem too, because I know that we can help them create a business that they actually enjoy running and that they love to be a part of. And so I'm just trying to do that at the largest scale possible. Help as many people, create the biggest infrastructure, so that everyone has an opportunity to like not have to sit in a 9-to-5 or not hate running their 4-client agency.
They get to define the freedom, what makes them happy, and hopefully bring more in.
And again, it goes back to the emotional piece, is like just giving people the tools, right? And for me, in entrepreneurship or startups or business, I understand that if I can provide the infrastructure for them, and the guidance and the coaching and the advisory, that I can change way more lives, right? The fact that we've brought on 40 people, right, and then we're supporting 40 people through this ecosystem now, like that's how I measure impact, because that's all I really want. I just want a comfortable life. I want to enjoy it.
What alignment and values.
Stay happy and just like live. And if it means I stop working at 2:00 so that I can coach, my future son or daughter's soccer team, that's what I want to do. I just want to have the freedom to be able to do it.
That's the big word.
So,
freedom, baby. And we all define it differently. If you got any kind of excitement or anything struck a chord today in this conversation with Sam Thompson, please leave a comment below and let us know. What was it for you that really holds true because I have not had an interview like this where I knew we would dive right in.
Right.
We only went through 2 questions technically, and a lot of times
so
it might take 10.
Part 2.
There'll be a part 2.
Q1,
How can
2022?
right?
Part 2. I'll see you there.
I like that update because that'll be after the crypto winter, or we'll see. That'll be an interesting. We haven't even talked about
Good
the
old
blockchain, dude.
NFT
That was the
worlds.
next.
I know.
That was the next. So part 2. How can people get in contact with you, Sam? If they want to follow your content, be a part of watching this community.
Twitter is where I'm at. I share a lot of content there. Twitter, Instagram, Instagram not so much. My team wants me to get back on there, but no. Twitter handle, I'm Sam Thompson. I'm around. Send me a DM. I'll do my best.
Doing good in this world. Let's
Let
get
it
it. All right. Thanks so much. This is a good one, brother.
I know.
Oh,
Pretty
goddamn.
smooth, huh?
Effortless for you.